Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? I was still required to attend to the emperor at night. A light rain began to fall in the middle of the night, and with my mind preoccupied, my sleep was light and restless. Awakening, I found myself unable to fall back asleep. My favor had become too conspicuous, attracting consort Hua's displeasure. Starting with such intensity might lead to an inability to sustain it, much like a string that snaps if stretched too tight. I turned over gently, trying not to disturb Xianling with the rustling of the petal-filled pillow. Half awake, he asked, "Why are you awake?" I heard the rain outside. The sound of raindrops hitting the flowers and leaves outside was crisp and clear. "Do you have something on your mind?" I shook my head slightly. "Not at all." In the dimly lit room, my long hair sprawled across his arm and the pillow. "Don't lie to me." I turned to face him, resting against his chest. The knot of his yellow silk pajamas had come loose, revealing a patch of cool skin on his chest. I raised my hand slowly to tie it for him. "Your Majesty, I'm afraid." His tone was light. "With me here, what's there to be afraid of? Your Majesty is so kind to your concubine." My voice trailed off to nearly inaudible. "Have you heard that gathering favor to oneself is also gathering resentment?" Xianling's voice carried a hint of sharpness. "Has someone been making things difficult for you? No one has troubled your concubine." My heart was bitter, but I had to speak these words, finally articulating them one by one. Favor should be distributed evenly for harmony in the 6 palaces, to ensure the continuation of the imperial lineage and blessings. Your concubine dares not monopolize your favor. The arm around me loosened slightly, his gaze became distant yet piercing. "What if I refuse?" I knew he would agree. The wives and concubines of the 6 palaces were intricately connected to former court factions, and one move could affect the whole situation. He would not refuse. Feeling a sense of melancholy, akin to the persistent drizzle outside, I softly said, "Your Majesty is a wise ruler." "A wise ruler," he huffed, a hint of coolness in his tone, reminiscent of the mint oil he often used for clarity, carrying a bitter chill. "It has been 8 days. With your Majesty already overwhelmed with state affairs, if the harem becomes a source of resentment, it would be akin to a fire in the backyard, only adding to your Majesty's worries." I spoke, and he listened in silence, his expression unreadable. "If your Majesty shows favoritism towards me while neglecting the other consorts, people will inevitably talk, saying that your Majesty is inconstant and forgetful of old affections." Clutching at his robe, my voice was choked with emotion. "I cannot bear to be the cause of your Majesty's distress." By the end of my plea, the tone was laden with earnestness. Perhaps the wind had picked up. The heavy silk curtains, so light and airy, fluttered as if caressed by an invisible hand, casting shifting shadows over Xianling's face. Our feet, exposed beyond the covers, did not retreat from the creeping chill. Xianling's grip tightened, his cheek pressing firmly against his collarbone, the pressure slightly painful. His feet wrapped around mine, bringing a comforting warmth. He closed his eyes and after a long while simply said, "I understand." I too closed my eyes, choosing to remain silent. That night, Xianling did indeed not summon me. Early the next day, I learned that the emperor had visited consort K, who had long been out of favor, and likely stayed the night there. Although unexpected, as long as it was not me, it was a relief. It had been 7 or 8 days since I last spent the night in Tongli Palace, and the feeling of estrangement was palpable. Even after changing into my night clothes, sleep eluded me, leaving an emptiness in my heart, an unsettling sensation. Consort K, having not seen the emperor for so long, must be overjoyed. How gracefully must she have accepted his favor? With a heavy sigh, I absent-mindedly plucked the strings of the phoenix-tailed guqin on the jade desk. The strings, smooth as silk, vibrated under my touch, producing a melody of lament as if effortlessly conjured. Entering the Han Palace at 15, my youthful beauty bloomed like spring's red flowers. Chosen by the emperor for my jade-like purity, I served by his golden screen at night, offering pillows under the delicate moon, my robes unfurling in the longing for spring's embrace. Little did I know, like Zhao Fian before me, envy and hatred would know no bounds. Deep sorrows can wound the spirit, turning youthful black hair to frosty white. A single day of disfavor, and all worldly affairs seem empty. Exchanging fine wine for sorrow, the dance clothes no longer adorned with carved dragons. The chill of hardship, too harsh to voice, playing the guillotine for you alone. With a broken heart the strings to break, and the night deepens with my sorrow. The melody was fraught with ominous sentiment from the start, echoing the fate of beauties in the palace through history. It was as if a secret dread within me was pricked sharply by a fine needle, causing my fingers to tremble and the tune to falter. Songs of lament, the love and hatred of palace women must always be concealed, especially resentment, a grave taboo for women. What is there to resent when it was I who insisted he go? It couldn't be otherwise. I calmed my mind and switched to a different tune. The height of mountains. The mountains are high, the moon rises small. So small is the moon, yet so bright. I have thoughts of someone far away. A day without seeing you, oh how my heart quietly aches. After playing the first few lines over and over, Lu Zhu, driven by curiosity, asked, "Miss, why do you only play the first part of this tune?" My focus remained on the music, my expression unchanged as I replied softly, "I only favor the first part." Lu Zhu dared not inquire further and simply held a lantern by the desk, standing quietly by my side. After playing for a long while, my wide sleeves slipped down my arms, and the moonlight, filtered through the window screen, cast a cold light on my arms, as if adorning them with countless white pear blossoms, shimmering with a faint glow. A twinge of pain at my fingertips led me to discover they had already turned red. I walked away from the guillotine, the hem of my moon-white robe trailing long on the ground, brushing the floor silently. Looking up at the sky, I noted the branches of the willow touched by the moonlight. Today was the 14th, and the moon appeared full like a silver disk, its jade-like glow dimming the usual brilliance of the stars. Yet it wasn't truly full, only seeming so. The actual night of the full moon would be tomorrow, when, by ancestral tradition, the emperor would stay in the empress's Zhaoyang palace. Having observed from afar for half a year, Xianling's relationship with the empress was indeed respectful, yet it bordered on formality, resembling that between guests. Every 15th might be the day the empress most looks forward to, leading me to feel a touch of sympathy and pity for her. The night was cool and dewy, with 2 crabapple trees in front of the hall blooming profusely. Their branches seemed ethereal, with light green foliage and delicately red flowers like blushing maidens, reminiscent of dawn's rosy clouds or snow and mist. The moonlight was cool and pale, only hinting at their vague outlines. As the wind picked up, petals fell like rain, sticking to the sleeves of my robe, dotting them with touches of rouge. A breeze lifted my hair, intertwining it with the branches, full of implicit sentiment. I stood quietly, letting the wind play with the light fabric of my sleeves, brushing against my wrists with a barely there touch. Occasionally, a nightingale's call would break the serene moonlit silence. I knew he was approaching, the familiar scent of ambergris mingling with the fragrance of flowers, unmistakably his. He remained silent, and so did I, as if alone in this place. Finally, he spoke. "How long will you stand here?" He didn't turn around, but I could hear him coming closer, his boots making soft sounds as they stepped on the fallen petals. A faint smile appeared on my lips. He had indeed come. Quickly, I hid my smile and slowly turned as if just noticing him, hesitantly calling out, "Your Majesty." He was still half a zhang away when he opened his arms, and I stepped into his embrace. The thin dew on his golden crown caught the moonlight, shimmering brightly. His hands gently caressed my shoulders. "This makes me worry, how can I bear to leave you?" As if remembering something, I pulled away slightly. "Weren't you visiting Consort K? Why are you in Tongli Palace?" He smiled. "I've seen her. The moonlight tonight was so beautiful. I wanted to see what you were doing." His lips gently touched my forehead. "If I hadn't come, I would have missed your wonderful music. I'm glad I didn't." I turned my head away, laughing softly, my cheeks flushed as if warmed by wine. "Your Majesty speaks so, leaving me no place to hide." Teasingly, I flicked his cheek. "The mighty sovereign stoops to eavesdrop?" He caught my fingers, feigning slight annoyance. "You're becoming bold. As punishment, you'll play another piece for me." Hand in hand, we entered the Ingsen Hall, where Jinsi and others had prepared a fresh pot of tea and seasonal fruits, awaiting us. The attendants helped Xianling change his clothes. Once everyone had left and the door was closed, I frowned slightly. Your departure might sadden Consort Quebec. He lifted my chin with his finger, his gaze filled with mirth. Could you bear to send me to someone else? Pushing him gently and stepping back, I tried to speak sternly. I've said it, Your Majesty is a wise ruler. Xianling laughed silently, whispering in my ear. A foolish ruler has his perks too. I'll return to being a wise one tomorrow. Unable to suppress a laugh, I added. Then I shall also resume my role as the virtuous consort tomorrow and seek forgiveness from Consort K for my transgression. Tilting my head, I inquired playfully. Xilang, what piece would you like me to play? He paused, seemingly caught off guard by my words, and after a moment asked, What did you just call me? Realizing my slip of the tongue, a chill ran through me as if ice had splashed upon my consciousness. I instinctively started to kneel in apology. I have behaved improperly. But his hand stopped me from kneeling, lifting me into a half embrace, his eyes shining with an unusual radiant glow I had never seen before. That's good. Call me that, I like it very much. Holding me on his lap, his tone as warm and gentle as the April sun, he asked, Your name is Zhen Huan, do you have a nickname? I don't have a nickname. Everyone just calls me Huaner. Would you mind if I call you Huan? Lowering my head, I caught a glimpse of our silhouettes reflected on the vermilion wall by the candlelight, my heart blushing like begonia petals. Softly, I murmured an affirmative sound. Leaning lazily against Xianling, his voice was intoxicating as if drunk on wine, his kisses lightly scattered across my neck. I watched you for a long time just now. Huan, standing under that crabapple tree. You looked like a celestial being exiled from the heavens. Play Tian Xianzi for me. Rising to my feet, I tested the tune and turned to him with a gentle smile. Truthfully, my skills are not exquisite. Mei Zhuang has far superior talent on the guqin, and I often rely on her guidance. He gazed at me and said, Consort Hui? We can listen to her play another day. As I played the guqin, the room was filled with a harmonious atmosphere, enhanced by the gentle glow of the lamps and the moonlight. Just as we were about to retire, there was a gentle knock on the door. A eunuch's sharp voice called from outside, Your Majesty. Xianling, slightly irritated, responded, Whatever it is, it can wait until tomorrow. The eunuch hesitated before acknowledging, but made no sound of departure. I suggested, Your Majesty, perhaps you should hear him out. It might be urgent. Xianling, donning his robe, assured me, You need not get up. Then, raising his voice towards the door, he commanded, Come in. Given the presence of a consort, it was Fengrua who entered to report. Court etiquette required that servants maintain composure in their tone and expression, so Fengrua calmly stated, Your Majesty, Consort Hui has drowned. I was shocked, abruptly throwing back the curtain and exclaiming, Xilang, Mei Zhuang can't swim, can she?
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the Story Wall homepage to view more exciting novels.